I wanted to take some time to discuss with you briefly the final project in Geography 243, Remote Sensing 1. This course is a course in the scientific inquiry domain, learning domain, and it's also a course in the geotechnology concentration and the GIS certificate. So it is fundamentally a science course. And that being said, this final project is a science paper, and it's an opportunity for you to demonstrate your mastery of some of the techniques that we've learned this term. Now, the first part of this document, this final project document, I ask you to formulate a question, a research question, using one of the techniques that you're going to address, using one of the techniques that we've learned here in this course. So land cover classification, change analysis, and density slicing as three particular techniques that we have learned in this course. And again, you can work in projects in groups of two, although most people tend to work as individuals, and either is fine. There's no, there's no detriment to working alone. There's no detriment to working in a group. When you do work in a group, you both receive the same grade, so you have to work with somebody that you really trust, somebody that's going to hold up their end of the project. I've suggested a model, and I give you some ideas about that model for doing a science paper. Not every paper has to or will include all of these sections, but you have to have organization in your paper, and your paper needs to be well organized, and this is a model that I've found that works fairly well, so that each of these could potentially be a section in your paper. The important parts of this really are certainly having a strong research question, or alternatively hypothesis, although most people just formulate this as a research question, and then a discussion of your planned methodology, your actual research and how it was conducted after you established a plan for that methodology, and then was it successful? Was your research question answered, or was any hypothesis that you might have had supported by your research? And then you do have to include references, and this is not optional. You really do need to include references, and I'm looking for at least 5, and that's a target. And I expect that you may have more than that. So this is something that I have high expectations for these papers, because I think you guys have worked hard and learned a lot, and you want to display that for us. The two journals that I suggest using for research literature are Photogrammetric Engineering and Remote Sensing and the International Journal of Remote Sensing. These are both in our library. They're both available, I believe, online as PDFs. In particular, Photogrammetric Engineering and Remote Sensing is very complete. There's just tons of articles in there on remote sensing, and all of these techniques are covered extensively throughout that literature. This is a long-standing journal, goes back many, many years. International Journal of Remote Sensing, also a very strong journal with lots of really just great articles that I think you'll find useful in your research. And that's the idea of doing a literature review. That's the idea of using literature, is using it to help you understand and to improve the work that you're doing in your final project. And I have some general recommendations about writing here. You can read this. This is kind of more or less boilerplate, but it does explain how I feel about writing, and how it is something that is it's not something to be taken lightly. It's something that you want to really focus on. Writing is important because it's a reflection of your thought, and that's really what we're trying to figure out here, is what are you thinking, what do you know about remote sensing, and you're demonstrating that with this final paper and with your writing. And so in the end, each final project is going to consist of a paper of 7 to 9 pages, double-spaced, and in particular, look at the length here, 2,500 words. That's how when I look at, if a paper looks really short, that's what I do. I do a word count on it because I want to know how many words you're writing, and so you can do that too if you want to see what I'm looking at and what I'm thinking in terms of length and depth. Really, because length, it doesn't do anything for you. I mean, length is it's not that big a deal, counting pages or counting words or whatever. But if you have a really short paper, you're leaving a lot out of your project, and I can almost guarantee you that I'm going to be able to suggest many things that you should have done if you have a very short paper, 50–60% shorter than the target that I'm looking for right here. And again, this is just a target, but this, pay particular attention to this. Your illustrations will be separate PDF files. Your paper will be an MS Word file, and these will all be turned into the final project Dropbox folder no later than 6 p.m. on Monday, June 6th. That's coming up pretty quickly. That's early in the exam period. And that's that's when they will be due. There will be no extensions. So, final project. If you have additional questions about this, please contact me. I'll see you guys on Monday, and we'll be able to talk about this some more, and possibly get some help on this. But this is not a simple project. This is something it's a test of your mastery of this subject, and this is an important test of this, and I'm paying very close attention to what you're doing on this. So please don't take it lightly. Don't hand in something that's half-baked, that is that is just not complete, and so do take it seriously. And so I'm looking forward to seeing everybody on Monday.